Hello, today I'm going to be showing you how I made this very simple painting. It is perfect for a Christmas card or anything of that sort, and it is very easy to use. So what you're going to need is a fan brush, and you're going to need some detailing brushes too. You're also going to need some liquid latex. This is the Windsor liquid latex. It's called masking fluid. You can find it on Amazon, Joann's, or Michael's, and I'll have links down below where you can get that. I have my paper all set up. It is not pre-dampened or anything like that, and I have it just taped down with a little bit of masking tape. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually use that liquid latex to create little masking areas where we're going to put our ornaments down. So all these little circular ornaments, we're going to put dots of this masking fluid down. So I'm using the back of a paintbrush and I'm just kind of dotting everywhere I think an ornament is going to go. So I want a little bit of a size difference so I can get some interest going on the painting, and I'm just going to kind of go in the areas that I believe that an ornament will go. And it's okay to mess up here, because if you do put a dot where you don't want a dot, you could just rub it off before you start your painting. It's very easy to remove this without damaging the paper behind it. But what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to leave white spots for us to put paint down later. I'll show you in a little bit what that means. When you are all finished with your latex, what you're going to do is you're going to have to wait for it to completely dry down. These larger dots, the one I just showed you, those are going to take a little bit longer to dry. Once it's completely dry and you're able to tap it with your finger without any latex coming off, it's time to go ahead and do the green part of the tree here. So I have 3 different colors of green. I have like this dark emerald green, a lighter green, and a true green. So I'm going to grab that fan brush and get a little bit damp here, and then we're going to load it up with some paint. And this is the part where you can just kind of have fun with it. So you can see that fan brushes have a texture to it. That texture is something that we actually do want. The more water we have in the brush, the lighter it's going to be and the less distinct color we're going to see. So that's really good if we want everything to be soft. But we can work with soft at first and we can go back in harsher later. But once we have that brush loaded up with paint here, let me kind of show you. And I didn't mix the colors together. I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a difference going on. That difference will help with a little bit of interest in the painting here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do light brush strokes where we want a little bit of those leafy pieces to be. There's our example right there. So everything kind of comes out in a little bit of a swooping motion, and you can see that different color changing. It creates effect. And you can see we also got a little bit of a dragged texture. That's because there wasn't enough water on the brush. So I just added a little bit of water on the brush, and you can see that really smooths everything out. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go around and we're going to keep adding this. For the sides, I'm probably going to have a little bit more of a watery mixture. This makes everything a little bit softer, but I'm going to go in with more pigment towards the center of the tree. If we put more pigment towards the center of the tree, it's going to look a little bit more solid. It's at this point where I'm going to start loading up the brush with almost completely pure pigment. This is going to create those darker pieces and a little bit more interest. I'm going to try to make this more concentrated towards the center of the tree, and that does give it a little bit more depth and just a little bit more interest to the painting. And when we are all done with the branches of the tree, we're going to go ahead and do the stump. I'm mixing brown with our green that we had before. And this kind of allows it to not be a stark contrast between that brown and that green. And what we're going to do is we're going to very fluidly do a freehand stump in here. And we don't want a lot of detail put into this area. Again, everything's just kind of implied. I'm going to put pigment more on one side than the other and just kind of soften everything up and put little implications of grass along the sides, but very little. We're not going to do a lot here. Now we're going to wait for that paint to completely dry, and when it's dry, it's time to rub off this latex. So I'm checking the paint is completely dry. So what you do is you take your finger and just in circular motions rub gently over where the latex was, and the latex will eventually start to pop off. And if this is your first time working with it, this is a great chance for you to kind of figure out how it feels and how much pressure you need. There are specific erasers that you can find online and at craft stores to remove liquid latex, but I quite honestly prefer to use my finger. So we're just going to rub all these little pieces off, and we're going to expose that white paper underneath, and that gives us a perfect canvas to go ahead and do our bulbs on. And of course you can use watercolor to do your bulbs, or you can do acrylic paint. Either works. Alright, now it's time to paint our bulbs. We're going to grab a very small detail brush, and we're just going to kind of put a couple different colors in here. It's completely up to you which colors you want to do. For my original painting, I used watercolor and I did blue and pink. And for this particular painting, I'm doing red and gold in acrylic paint. So this is more of whatever colors you want to do. You can do all the colors, you can do one color. We're just doing two colors here. And I'm leaving a little bit of a white dot on some of these bulbs just to give it a little bit of shine. Now it's time that we can add the star at the very top of the tree. In this one I did watercolor in just a very vibrant yellow. For this particular painting I'm going to be using acrylic paint in gold and just freehanding a little bit of a star up at the top. The last thing we're going to do once all those bulbs are dry is we're going to put a little bit of that white tinsel in our painting. So I'm using Artist Loft, it's Iridescent Medium. You're pretty much supposed to mix this with acrylic paint to give it a little bit of more of an iridescent look to it, but you can see the effect it creates when we just use it alone. It is almost invisible at specific angles, but when the light hits it, it really shines. I want a little bit of texture, that way you can see it almost at all times. So I'm going to kind of glob it on in specific spots just to create more interest and more texture. And we're just going to go in a zigzag formation up the tree with this iridescent medium. When we're all finished, we can go ahead and remove our masking tape from around the sides, and we are completely done. So I'm going to show you in a couple different lightings what this little effect does, but this is such a simple painting to do. It could probably be done in less than 15 minutes of working time. It has a little bit of drying time at each step, but it is very simple. I almost guarantee anyone can do it, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's a great way to give maybe a postcard or a card to someone you love on Christmas. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!